You were under the impression like this was just a casual thing between you and her. Did she tell you anything about like the DCs and why she would decide to, I don't know, kick off things with you?
I don't think it was ever a topic of discussion. No, for some strange reason, we never really spoke on. We never really spoke on them. We were driving to, I think it was going to one of her business meeting that I was following her to, and obviously, Mendices called her, obviously through the phone, but it was connected to her car. He was having a full-blown conversation with her. I was sitting in the car, and I'm not gonna lie, that for me was a bit, I won't say, it was a bit uncomfortable, because America's not my country. I'm from the UK. I'm like, is this safe? It's like, does this make sense? What if this
You know he's from the streets now.
You know what I'm saying? So, but and the thing is, I know that too, but not that means anything to me, because down here, I'm not, just use your imagination.
Yeah, I know about the UK. I know how y'all get down.
Obviously, I'm not in that, that's not my country, so the same sort of accessibility I would have down there, I wouldn't have over there. So obviously for me, it's definitely very unsafe anyway. But anyway, they were speaking anyway, and obviously when they came off the phone, I kind of looked at her like, is this normal? So I felt like, is this an American thing? Because that was like, I won't say it was a bit wild, but it was a bit wild for me. It was like, I'm sitting in a car, he has no clue I'm in the car, and you and him are just conversing as if it's a normal day.
In the last 6 weeks, Van Horn-Lager.
Woo! Listen, hey guys, welcome to Little Black Button 91. Look, can we be honest with you? This Yandy situation with the side dude is is interesting. I'll tell you why it's interesting. Because I think, you know what, chatty patties, we always feel like when people are chatting the pats that are chatting, this ain't the thing to be doing. You know what I'm saying, Chu? But I do want to have a real conversation. I do think this conversation opened up a lot of thought processes for me, and I'll tell you why. Whilst I was on the internet, Instagram and all those things, you see a lot of people talking about the Yandy and Mendices situation. And many people were like, "Yes, Yandy, we don't really care. Pack this up 5 days. Whatever. We don't want to hear nothing else. People making all sorts of excuses. Yandy isn't married anyway. This and that. And I'm like, everything we're saying right now is quite interesting, right? So one of the things that ladies are quite frustrated with is the fact that this gentleman decided to chat the pats and decided to snitch and say things that were happening behind the scenes. And I said, this is really interesting because let's be real, right? Let's be really, really real right now. The reality of the situation with this situation with Yandy and the gentleman, okay, is that there is a code that most people live by that they don't want to say. One of the codes is when women cheat, men are supposed to be quiet. Now, of course, that's not just on women, that's on men too, due to a patriarchal society and knowing that other men are dangerous. Okay, let's keep it a buck. All right. So because other men tend to fight physically, the repercussions of sleeping with somebody's wife is astronomical. Okay, it's even biblical. If you read Proverbs, it talks about a man that commits adultery with a man's wife or sleeps with a man's wife, and how there's fire in his bosom. So even the Lord knows this is going to happen, right? But it's intriguing to see, because I thought to myself, this conversation we've had many, many times, especially on TikTok, about these kind of conversations. People really believe that men are the proverbial cheats of, when it comes to cheating, only men cheat. Women cheat at the very least. And I'm like, I tell people, listen, you're not on the right side of the tracks. Okay, all right. You're not on the right side of the tracks. Okay, all right. And the truth of the matter is that everybody cheats, both men and women. And when you're a man that when you're a man that's actually done things, you'll realize that it's a scary world on both sides. Women are not to be trusted and men are not to be trusted. There are really wild behaviors on both sides of the table. And this Yandy thing just kind of proves it, right? This Yandy situation proves it, because, what was happening is the fact that it was only exposed because, first and foremost, I didn't like the fact that her friend, who was a male best friend, who's, I think, gay or whatever, and I didn't like the fact that he exposed her, because as a friend, whether we were friends or not, me exposing you on the internet is crazy work. You know what I'm saying? To me, exposing your secrets now is crazy work, you know. But obviously, he has a story on his own, and I can play a little clip for you on what his story was. In fact, let me play a little clip on what his actual story was. There's a little bit of swearing in this, so just please be patient in that respect.
Thinking about all the shit I did for you and sacrificed for myself. You took me away from my birthday to London, bitch. That wasn't for me. London was for you. We're in a restaurant taking pictures. My boyfriend hits me up and he's like, yo, who's taking a picture? Who's that third menu for on the table? I said, oh shit, Yandy. He's gonna think I'm cheating on him. He thinks I'm here with somebody. Bitch, and all along we was there with you and your nigga that you was fucking. We went to London so you could fuck your nigga, your side nigga. Bitch, you didn't go there for me. I'm like, Yandy, please, I gotta tell him.
We don't have to go any further because he's swearing a bit too much and I don't like it. But I think that was his reason why as to why he exposed her. Because I was in my head, I was like, why is he exposing Yandy? I don't get it. But I guess because he felt like she didn't cover for him. So like when he was helping her cheat, and in the midst of that, she wasn't covering him because now they're taking a photo. He's in it, and in my head, I'm like, wait, how did your man get to even see this photo? You know what I mean? Like, what photo were you guys taking that there's a third man in the photo that you're baiting yourself out? I don't even get that. I was asking myself the question. I got a little spot. What was going on? I'm struggling to figure out what photo and why was a photo public enough that there was that situation, and you know what was going on in terms of the conversation between you and your man that this has even come out in the first place. I didn't get it. I was like, this doesn't even make sense. But anyway, the key thing here is that everybody cheats. Everybody does stupid stuff. And again, you've got to choose your things wisely. Now, if we go back in time with Yandy, the last year or two, we did a couple of videos about Yandy and Mendices, and I spoke about how at some point there was a breakdown in the relationship between Yandy and Mendices. Yandy had been holding it down since Mendices was in prison. You know, there was some animosity, there was some resentment there. But we also saw that Yandy also was not going to be controlled and not going to submit. She was going to do whatever she felt like she wanted to do. Okay, it got to a point at one place where she was going to be a surrogate for her sister, and she did not care for Mendices' opinion. She was going to do what she wanted to do. And then fast forward to this year, where we see her talking about people messing around with her family, and that she actually sent a message to the girl, and actually the girl who obviously was messaging Mendices, she was messaging him back. And all the while, Yandy's been sleeping with someone else. And apparently, this guy is the only one that got exposed. There was other people. And I'm like, okay, look, the reality of the situation is these relationships that they're actually involved in, they're not beneficial relationships after a while because the people have stopped trying to mend the relationship. And when people start stepping out to try and get their needs met, it just causes further destruction for this relationship. Of course, I mean, if you're stepping out, you're destroying the trust that you guys have. Now, did Mendices step up before she did? I don't even really know. But all I know is that obviously for the last 3 years, Yandy been out in them streets. Okay. And so I think it's really important that people are actually starting to look at these relationships and go, okay, we don't have to follow the same suit. We do not have to follow the same route, and we do not have to follow the same ethos that they guys have chosen. What Yandy and Mendices have chosen, unfortunately, Mendices hurt his family by doing a crime that led him to being in prison. Okay, he took actions that were of a selfish nature that put them in prison, which then starts to spiral in your family. And so now you've got Yandy stepping up to the plate, having to play both roles. I'm not giving an excuse. I'm really just explaining the situation. And then just having both roles, she then becomes hardened by the role. And then there is a clear distrust between the two of them that we see going for years because the root cause of the pain hasn't been resolved. So we're playing house and showing everybody else that we're wonderful and amazing. But in reality, actually, the truthful nature of the situation is you guys were never really together like that. You guys are never really together like that, you know? And so, yeah, I look at the situation, I go, you know, these situations with what Yandy and Yandy and Mendices are experiencing, they are classic tales of people who have already signed out emotionally and then end up doing what they're doing. And so the marriage now becomes a business. We put on a good front to show you. We've seen it many times in Hollywood. And actually, I'm sure other people in real life do this as well, where they put up a front to make everybody feel like, oh, you guys' marriage is still going strong, it's going well. Meanwhile, you're dying inside. You guys are an empty carcass inside. You know, there's just no content within. And yet your outside shows like, oh, you guys doing well, you're flourishing, you know, your marriage is winning, and meanwhile, inside, we've not sorted out the internal chaos that we're actually going through, the pain that we actually feel, the trauma that we're actually going through. So each person takes their route out of discomfort. I say this again. A lot of times the cheating is actually at the expense of discomfort. We feel a discomfort and we want to get out. We want a way out, you know. And it's interesting because like it's a bit like fasting, right? When you start fasting, you start fasting with that first hour, you're doing good. Second or third hour, you start getting hungry. Then you start questioning yourself. I mean, do I really need to fast? If I fast, I mean, maybe I can break it. I'll start tomorrow again, right? You start choosing for ways to get out of the discomfort, which is what causes further problems in the future anyway. All right. So yeah, no, I just wanted to just share that. I didn't even make this a long video, but it was intriguing me, the receipt situation with Yandy and Mendici. I was like, well, you know what? To be fair, I do know that these two, they've been doing what they've been doing for a very long time. You know what I mean? So if anybody out there, listen, your relationship, don't allow yourself to be an empty carcass sitting on the street. Don't allow yourself to be an empty carcass just waiting for, waiting for, the relationship, someone to break it off. Someone needs to get off the hamster wheel and start changing things. A lot of times we start looking at the other person like they're at fault. They did this, did it. But a lot of times we have to look at our own behavior. How do we show up? How do we present ourselves? How are we coming on? You know, how are we being shown? How are we being represented in the relationship? And how does that impact the person that we're actually dating as well? So a lot of things that people don't take that into account. They only just think about the other person and what they're doing. And both Mendici and Yandy have to be accountable for the fact that they showed up in a relationship in a particular way that caused the other person to feel unsafe. And usually it's also about feeling safe. People don't feel safe. You know, so, but hey, I'm gonna leave it there, man. You make sure you like, share, subscribe, you click on that bell button for notification uploads. It was a quick one. Do you want to stay on here long? I appreciate you guys. A lot. Sorry, we'll see you again soon.